Welcome to this tutorial. This is an excellent tutorial. I will give you all of that information once I hop inside my computer. But first, if you're new to this channel, please hit the subscribe button. It's located inside here on the right, bottom right of this video, but also right below this channel. This way you will not miss out on a lot of great contents that I already have in production. Let's continue to build this community and participate with your comment on the comment section down below. But also like this video and share it with your network. Now, without further ado, let's dive in inside my computer. Let's begin by creating a pivot table. To create a pivot table, I'm using a forecast model. This file has macro embedded, so it might be running slightly slower than regular Excel worksheet. But to start creating a pivot table, choose your data. I'm using this set of historical trend analysis, which contains a large set of data. And I have placed my mouse on the region, which is column E16. That's the first cell that I would like to capture within this pivot table. Once I've done that, I will go to the Insert tab on the upper left, right next to the Home tab. Click on the Insert tab and then click on the pivot table. It will give you a table range, which is partially. So it's where I have placed my mouse. And then simply select everything. So on the Mac operating system, I'm going to press Shift Command, and then I'm going to press the right arrow key, which brings me to the very last column. Make sure every column has a name and there's no hidden blank column. Then simply keep the Shift and the Command pressed, and then now I'm going to press the down arrow key on the Mac operating system, and that will bring me all the way to the end, which is DV 110, it's row 110. And then at this point, it will say to choose where to place the pivot table, if you would like your pivot table to be within the existing worksheet or a new worksheet. For this purpose, I'm going to choose a new worksheet and I'm going to say OK. And now that I have a pivot table here, I would like to get rid of the grid lines and also make an empty room on the left, and also a couple of empty rows on the top. And so again, I'm going to get rid of the grid lines, and to do that, I'll go to View on the Mac operating system and then click Show, and then unselect the grid lines. Now it's all blank. Now go back to the pivot table, just simply click on it to build your pivot table. So the first thing that I would like to do, I would like to select the field name region and bring it under the rows. I would also like to select the total forecast. So here is the total forecast, and I'm going to bring that under the values. And then I'm going to select the total budget for the FY21. And I will also bring it under the values. Now that I have those two fields selected, including the region, this is ready to start formatting and start adding some extra calculated fields. So next up is formatting. edit some of the formatting, and then we will add the calculated field before we finish up the formatting. So the first formatting that I would like to do is to make this a classic view. So this way I will see a field name of region on that cell there, which currently shows row labels. So to make this a classic view pivot table, I will right click within the pivot table and select pivot table options. And here is the option for classic pivot table layout. Check it and click OK. And that will give that cell a proper name, which is region. Next up, I like to add a calculated field for the variance. And to do that, just go to Pivot Table Analyze tab, click on that, and then go to Fields Item Sets, click on it. Then select the calculated field. Once you have assigned a name to your field, in this case the variance, now you want to select a value. In this case, for me, it's going to be the FY21 total budget, and I'm going to click Insert Field, and I'm going to choose the calculated sign. In this case, it's going to be minus the forecast so that I can get the variance for between the forecast against the budget, and I will select that as well. So here's the FY21 total forecast, and I'm going to insert that, and I will click OK. And here, as you can see, the variance calculation is correct. So the forecast is running higher against the budget, a little over $500,000. And that is the correct calculation. Now I will start to format the dollar values. And to do that, I'm going to place my mouse within the pivot table and right click and then choose Show Field. And the first thing that I will do, I will format the forecast column, and I will simply click on it and right click and choose Field Settings and then choose Number. In this case, I want accounting, 0 decimal places, and the dollar sign. And the next thing that I would like to do here is to create a second set of pivot table, because I will be illustrating 2 charts in this presentation. So the next up, I would like to format this so that everything looks visible. Now these look much better. So the only thing that I want to change here is I want to remove the region and bring up country. And that looks good. So now I have the 2 pivot tables that I will be illustrating the charts, which will be the second section of this tutorial. The first thing that we will do that I'd like to show you is to make sure that you rename your worksheet. I like to change this design here, and to do that, just simply click on it and then go to the Design tab and choose something that is more suitable, that stands out. So I think that actually looks pretty good. I'll go ahead and zoom this a little bit so that I can see it better, and also you can see it better. So that does look much better. And I'll do the same thing here, and I will pick another design that helps to make that pivot table to stand out. So I would like to name this, to give it a title, and to do that I am going to first format that area and merge those cells B through E, and the title here is T-square revenue by region, and also do additional formatting, change the font size to 16, bring that up slightly to the middle, and also change the font style to impact, and give it a border, and also change that to the same color that blends in with the pivot table, and change the font color to white. And now that this is all set, I'm going to simply copy that and paste it there, and then also correct that to by country. We know that that is by country, and that is now we're getting closer to continue to building this dashboard. The next step is to start adding some charts. And to do that, I would like to have extra space here on the top. Ways to do chart on pivot table. You can do it by simply click on it and then go to the insert and then select a chart. I would like a donut chart actually for this one. And then I will bring that chart here, and we can now start to formatting. Let's make that bold color, and also we'll right click on it and then choose format chart area, and then do a gradient fill, and that color is just about right. And then we'll change the transparency a little bit to 18. The brightness is okay at a 50. Color for the theme color, I would like that to be white. And then I'm gonna change the font size to 12 and make it bold so that I can see it better. And the next up, I would like a pie chart on the revenue by country on the pivot table, and then go to insert and then choose the style of your choice. In this case, I will go with a 2D pie chart, and I will bring that pie chart somewhere over here, and this is ready to start formatting as well. So simply right click on it and then format the plot area. So gradient, choose the gradient field, format the chart area, and let's do a gradient fill as well. The transparency 18 and the brightness 50 are both okay. The text options, again, I would like to make that white. Then just close out of that, and then I will change the font size there to 12 and make it bold so that it stands out. Next up, I like to fix the title here so that it says FY21 forecast revenue by country. Align that a little bit, and also adjust the font slightly. And I also like to have a title on this chart as well. And to do that, go to the Design tab and then click on the Add Chart element and select Chart Title. And you have options to do it above or centered overlay, and there are more title options as well, but I'll keep it on the above chart. And this is also FY21 forecast revenue by region, and fix the font a little bit so that you can see it. Next up, I like to add additional chart, and this time it will be some chart that will provide forecast, budget, and variance analysis. For that, I'll stay within the pivot table and I will go to the pivot table, analyze, select pivot table chart. Here's the forecast, the blue one. As you can see, it is higher than the budget, and here is the budget, the variance in green. And then the next up, I would like to format the axis, and to do that you right click on the axis and then choose format axis. And I like to change the display units to 1,000,000. And for the text options, let's bring the transparency to maybe 30. The next formatting is the legend. To do that, you right click on the legend and choose format legend and bring the legend on the top. And for the text options, I would like to change it to white. And I also like to change that and then bold it, and also change the font to 12. I'll leave the font size back to, this is a perfect size. That's pretty much it for the format. Actually, one last format. Here, I like to format that as well and make the font color white and then bold. Okay, the next step is to run a similar chart, now using the information by country. To do that, similarly to the previous one, just place your mouse within the pivot table, go to the pivot table, analyze, and click the chart. And here it's going to be a similar chart, but this time I would like to change it to a 2D bar here. And also the next step, I'd like to format the legend, and by right clicking on the legend and bring it to the top. And also go back to the home tab and change that to bold, and I'm going to change that to white, the font color to white, and also do the same thing. I'll reflect the same color of the pivot table. Next up is to format the axis by right clicking on the axis and choose format axis and display units to millions. And if you prefer thousands, you can do that as well. And also format that to reflect the theme color. Data, you can do that simply by right click and add the labels. You can also add the trend line. Last thing to do here is to, on the top, is to give this a title. So it's going to be dashboard. Make sure that you styled the font to your theme, and in this case I'm going to just make the font size larger and also center it, so margin center those, and also do the same thing there and just make it and change the font style to impact. And I need one more line, and this time I'm going to copy that and paste it. This time I'm going to just say T square. Fiscal year 21. At this point, that looks pretty good. The next thing to do here is to add a slicer. So to do that, you want to go to the pivot table analyzer and then choose a slicer. And you can make several selections here. So I'm going to do by region as well as by revenue category as well as by state. For slicer to work with, the hierarchy should really be something that makes sense. So in this case, region, country, and then the next up would be state, and then the next up would be revenue category. Final thing to do here is to change the design. So to do that, just simply click on it and change the design on the slicer tab. Select that color for all of it. Okay. And this is a complete dashboard out of an Excel, which you can build relatively in a short period of time, an hour. So it's very much useful whether you are working on a school project for your financial education, or whether you are working at a company and you're still working a way around of integrating more powerful tools such as the Power BI. But this is a fantastic dashboard that provides a very high level executive data visualization to help to amplify the value of your meetings and the value of your work. So next up, in the next phase of this tutorial, I will illustrate how to record a simple macro that will refresh your task within seconds once you make changes to your data sets. And to record a macro to refresh your pivot table, I will not explain the whole macro concept. If you haven't watched my video about how to record macro, please watch that video, and I will include that link towards the end of this tutorial. And now let's go ahead and start to record a macro to refresh a pivot table for this task. To do that, you will go to your developer tab up here on the top, click on it, and then simply start to record a macro. Once you do that, you want to give your macro a name. And in this case, I'm going to say dashboard refresh, and it's going to be in this workbook. And here, make sure that you choose a letter that you of an alphabet that you haven't chosen yet if you have a built macro already within a worksheet. So I will go ahead and pick a letter. Make sure that you remember that what you selected for that as a shortcut key, because that's important. So once you do that, click OK. And then now it's time to start recording a macro. This is fairly easy. And click on within a pivot table and go to the pivot table analyze. Once you are on the pivot table analyze, you want to, so click on the refresh button and then say refresh all. So that will refresh all of your pivot tables if you have multiple pivot tables, which I do in this case. Do that. And then once you do that, the macro is already done because it's going to refresh every time you make changes within the data set. It's going to refresh this entire worksheet, including your charts. Once you are satisfied with the changes that you've done, you've already tell Excel to execute the action, go back to Developer tab and simply click Stop Recording. Your macro is all set at this point. So what I like to do now is create a button and I will select that because that's the macro that I've just created. This is a different macro within this worksheet, and I will assign that macro there. So that is all set. So all I'm going to do now is just say, give it a name, refresh dashboard, format it if you like. And now that macro is all set and it's ready to refresh, and you no longer have to do this task of going into within the pivot table and look for the pivot table analyze and refresh. So this will actually do the work for you. And that is it for this tutorial. I hope that you have found a value to it, and the skill set that you have acquired during the course of this tutorial will be valuable to your needs, whether you are pursuing a educational background in finance or accounting or data analytics, or whether you will use it for your business needs. This is an excellent tutorial, so don't forget to subscribe and like this video and share it with your network. Thank you.